Hello, Aquarius. I hope that you're all doing well. We are here with a timeless reading during a thunderstorm. Before we get started with the reading, let's set the intention for this to be a space where everyone allows themselves to feel seen and validated, and ultimately for this to be a safe space and a healing space in alignment with the highest good. What I'm seeing is that there's something that you're getting very clear on as far as your standards, okay? But it may feel like a little bit of an unpopular opinion. This may be something that you feel called to defend or to stand up for. I'm hearing the word rooted. Maybe this is something that you're becoming more rooted within. This definitely feels like a development. Okay. We're starting off with the Nine of Cups. This is a very auspicious place to be. Nine of Cups, this card specifically, it represents Jupiter and Pisces. When we think about Jupiter, it's a very benevolent energy, and it's one that's associated with our expansion and our growth and what we want to experience and how we grow through the experiences that we have. And Pisces is about our dreams, and it's about making dreams reality. So to have the Nine of Cups, which is connected with our wish fulfillments, it's basically like this. If you can dream it, it's something that you can experience. Like, that's the thought with this. And if you look at this person here within this picture, they just look so happy, surrounded by the things that they love, the things that hold meaning to them, whether it be a tangible material thing or something beyond that. Cups are always going to talk about the feeling function. So this is something that this person is connecting with on a deep, deep level that they are experiencing through something reflected outwardly. Now I'm seeing Three of Wands here, so there's a sign of progress and also something that you're going to be experiencing in the future. These can also be consistent with like dreams that you have that are going to be coming in. I'm hearing furtively. Okay. Yes. Especially too, like with these cards, there's a transition from blue, which can be your throat chakra. But I'm also seeing this be kind of like your higher senses as well, your higher chakras. Just because of the way that this color blue is, and I'm seeing like a little bit of green within it. So it's kind of like what's going on astrally for you, and then we transition into yellow, which is like what you're making happen within the 3D, because that's going to be your solar plexus energy. So it's taking something that you're experiencing internally that's going to be reflected outwardly, and you may have a very clear idea now of sort of where your heart is leading you and how you're connected with that when it comes to the things that you think about that are associated with what would feel fulfilling to you to experience. And Three of Wands is like, what footwork are you doing to make that actually happening? Because I am seeing something that you're reining in here that's associated with what you want. And this is something that you want on an internal level, so it's going to be very emotionally fulfilling for you. So it's not going to be something where you get it and you're like, this feels kind of empty or not how I thought. This is something where you're really being driven by things internally. And so when this comes to be, there's going to be like a deep feeling of symbiosis, actually, I'm hearing. Okay. Symbiosis is a mutually beneficial relationship, essentially between two or more entities that are in close proximity with one another. That's the gist of it anyway. I'm definitely seeing you making progress with this, But the struggle, half of the battle seems like it's a mental one. I'm seeing your thoughts definitely get distracting sometimes. This is like shadow related thoughts that are coming up, which is normal to the process. I feel like it's always a struggle internally, like especially around the throat chakra area, which connects with what you're thinking as well, rather than it being external. Because when you get to a high enough level, the external stuff is just going to come like in and out and materialize and dematerialize as it's meant to. When you get higher up, you realize that the struggle is generally a mental one, because that's what you're going to see reflected outwardly as a mirror. So you're on the right track here. You know what you want. I'm seeing you be very clear on that, because you know what's ringing true to you. And I'm seeing you very committed to like making this happen, committed to this process. But right now you could be struggling mentally. So that's kind of what's going on for you. But I'm seeing you take all of the like practical grounded steps that need to be taken. You just may be dealing with this mental component that's making things a bit tricky. It's kind of like you entering into this moment where you're going to have to like out argue this maybe negative narrative, okay? To remind yourself why this is worth it to you. Yeah, maybe something's getting a bit difficult, but I'm seeing this be on a mental level. Oh, no, trust yourself, trust yourself. There's this like little piece of doubt that's creeping in that's like, is my intuition right? Like, can I really trust it? Like, am I really connected in that way? Yes, you are. You don't need to doubt this at all. This is just like mind games that you're playing with yourself, but like subconsciously. This is coming back to that vibe of needing to like out argue your shadow thoughts that are coming through, because I'm seeing this feeling of like, am I crazy? Like all of that, those things that come through where you're like, am I making this up? Like, am I being delusional right now? Like, am I really on track? It's like all of these things that you question because you're getting used to this connection with you and your higher self. So you're like, am I translating these messages in the right way? Stuff like that, thoughts like that, where there's doubt. This is like the seed of doubt that I'm seeing here. But rather than being like, oh no, that's a message that I'm like going in the wrong direction, you need to recognize that this is coming from fear. And to not let it deter what it is that you're doing. Because I'm seeing you started off on this path, on this trajectory here. And it's associated with this like deep, deep happiness within you, where you are really connected with your heart. You're really following that. You're like, I know when something's resonating and when it's not. I know when I'm vibrating like to the same tune as this thing and when something is out of alignment for me. And I'm seeing like that's how you're committed to cultivating your life right now. Now, mentally, there's this piece that's coming through of your ego, okay, that has a function, it has a purpose. However, it's something that's like crossing wires with your intuition. So you just want to do what you need to do to assuage this, to assuage the doubt. And it's going to be different for each of you, because we may each doubt a different thing. Like, we may have something differently, again, for each of us that comes up, that takes shape. But archetypally speaking, this is some sort of doubt that would have you basically do this. You listen to your intuition and it's like, go left here, and you start going left, and then your shadow's like, should you really be going left? Maybe you got it confused and you're really supposed to be going right, and then you're like thinking about turning back around. Don't. You already got the message. You know what it is. Just keep going with it. It's about trusting yourself. You trust yourself. You trust your guidance. You don't need to turn back around. But yeah, I get like fear talk is trying to like pull you in the opposite direction. This can mean too that you're exploring something that feels kind of like a different sort of path that you're on right now, and that can feel a little bit intimidating. So that's why your ego is popping up and being like, is this safe? Like, maybe I'm gonna have to convince you otherwise, something like that. But you're good. I'm seeing you really be on track here. You're just having a little test here mentally. Trust yourself. You are going in exactly the right direction. I'm seeing the 10 of Cups here. Like, we start off with the 9 of Cups. We end this part of the spread with the 10 of Cups. So this is you achieving what this is that you've been setting out to achieve here. And the Wheel of Fortune assisting you nonetheless. Also, too, like, to have the High Priestess and the 10 of Cups over here, it's like, over here we have 9 of Cups and 3 of Wands. So this is like, how do I make my dreams happen? Like planning for the future, taking steps that you feel like are going to get you to the goal that you're working towards, all of that. Being in the moment as well, and knowing that when something's resonating with you, you can trust that feeling within you. When it's not, you're also going to know. And so when you make decisions, it's about asking yourself, like, does this bring me joy and happiness to do, or is it something other than that? And then on the other side of it, by sort of like following this guide that you're following, on the other side of this is you being very, very connected with yourself and trusting that your higher self is coming through and giving you messages and saying, this is the direction that you want to go in, and here is you achieving that. And the thing that's in between, the thing that's between here and you getting over here to where you're trying to go, is the thoughts mentally that may be breaking something up. It's kind of like causing static on the line. But it's just part of the process. And it's also going to make this like more gratifying when you get to this point of achievement as well, because you're gonna be in that space where you're like, I fought for this, like I made this happen, I had grit, like I stuck with my original vision of what I wanted to do here, and now here I am accomplishing that. And even though I didn't always know how it was going to happen, I just trusted that it would. And that by me doing things in this way, it's going to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. And I'm seeing this be, even though this can be something physically that's playing out for you, more than anything, this is something going on internally for you, where there may be like a physical counterpart to this, but it's especially something that's going to mean a lot to you on a deep, like, soul level. On a level that's beyond just tangible reality. But yeah, I do get that you're definitely being, there's a request for you or a need for you to take leaps of faith and just like go along with what your intuition, what your higher self is telling you, even though you may be like, I don't know how that's going to work, or how me taking this step is going to get me all the way over there, but I'm just going to trust that it will, and I'm seeing it actually works. It's like you cracking the code here. And after you get through this as well, what I'm seeing is that this doubt that had been like playing out for you before, when you get to the other side of this, you're going to be like, I understand how that works now. And it's going to get you more and more familiar with what that looks like when it pops up for you. So you're going to be less and less affected by it, because you're going to be able to recognize it and be like, I see what's going on here, and I'm still going to be going this way. Like that sort of thing. I'm seeing there be like such a huge liberation when you get over here. But again, this is like an internal shift that's happening for you, going from one place to the next. I'm seeing things are also going to get easier as well. It feels like the beginning of, yeah, we can say the beginning of like learning how to work something. And I'm seeing that you're going to get the hang of it, and it's going to be a much easier relay system back and forth. But again, do not doubt yourself. Don't doubt your intuition. I'm seeing you be right on track here. This is going to feel like a big accomplishment for you. I'm seeing the 6 of Wands here. This can be that feeling of like, I almost didn't make it, but here I am, I got it. But it was not easy. It hasn't been easy. And it definitely took collaboration as well, like you being open to the signs and the messages. doubt can also come through where it's like, do you really want this thing that you're going after? Like, are you really going to be happy about it? Stuff like that. But you already know. You already know. I will say this too, like when we get into situations as well, like the split second that something presents itself to you, your gut already tells you what it is. It's like the thoughts after that end up confusing things, you know? Like somebody asks you to do something, like immediately after you know whether it's a yes or a no for you, but it's that thinking after, that second guessing that can really trip things up. Or like, I'm gonna pursue this because like every time I do this, I feel so intrigued by it and interested, and it feels so revitalizing to me. And I feel like I'm in the right place, you know, like I really vibe with this thing. And then it's like later on down the line, you second guessing that can happen. But I'm seeing this kind of be building a different type of relationship with yourself as you move through this. It feels like this connection with you, between you and your higher self, is getting stronger. And because you're building this different relationship with you and yourself, you're still like building that trust essentially. But it's trust in yourself that you're interpreting things in the right way. And that by you leaning into this, it's really going to accomplish what you want to accomplish on a deep soul level. And the more you follow this, the more that's just going to be reinforced constantly. And that's what I'm seeing this process be right now that you're going through. But it's learning how to connect with your higher self in a tangible way where it's connected with like grounded, actionable steps that you are taking within your life. Like that's what it's translating to effect. Like catching the waves of a radio signal, and that's where you're getting your instructions from, essentially. Yeah, I'm seeing a plan being formulated here. But there's something about, I get this coming up again and again, that like you know what you're doing, but you may doubt it. It's like you hear the messages and the instruction from your higher self. Like you have it right in front of you, I'm seeing. But there's like this doubt that pops up and is like, are you sure you wrote that down the right way? But you did. So you have nothing to be worried. Like I'm getting a cautious energy, but I'm seeing you be fine. It's like you're translating everything the right way. There's nothing here that you need to doubt. I'm seeing you be very much on track here. But this Seven of Swords feels real. Like that is a real narrative. It's a real mind frame. So it's something that takes like a higher point of view to be able to transcend. Because your shadow isn't gonna talk to you in some wild way that you can't follow. It's going to make like a logical argument for why you should listen to it, and that's why it can be so tricky, and that's why you need to, again, like out-argue this narrative if that's not like a paradigm that you want to be playing within and motivated by. Because there are like many different, we can say like vibrational voices or like characters that you can connect with, where it's like your shadow, your ego, your higher self, and you sort of get to pick who you're taking advice from. And all of them are these like refractory pieces of you, these fractal pieces of you, and they're all at different vibrations, and so they have different concerns, and they're going to give you different types of advice, and so you get to choose which of them you tune to. And that's going to be reflected outwardly eventually for you. This is also associated with like what chakra you're primarily working out of and how congruent your chakras are working together. Yeah. I'm seeing you have a very strong mind, and so I'm seeing it can really like blow you either way. It's like feeling like you get jolted around a bit, jostled around. I keep getting this again and again. You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You don't need to doubt that or play into this. And it seems also like there's stuff that you've been manifesting that's like well on its way. And this little piece of doubt is coming up and being like, maybe we should, it's like you're building this thing. It's not completely constructed yet, but it's like very much nearly constructed. And the doubt is coming in and being like, maybe we should wreck the whole thing and start it over again. For some of you, this can be something that you're working on. For some of you, I'm hearing that you're compiling. I'm hearing something about compiling data, but this can also be like projects that you're doing. It reminds me of something that has multiple pieces to it, like a series of something. Like a book or an album or something like that. Like any type of art, anything creative. Can be just the way that you're designing your life. That's also art. Whatever this is that you're manifesting, that has to do with, again, the types of experiences that you're trying to have. I'm seeing there be such a great mix of energy as well. Like we have the High Priestess and the Hierophant right below. In the Major Arcana, they're counterparts. So High Priestess is like hidden information and wisdom, especially like occult wisdom. And it has to do with like the unseen. I think we said hidden already, like hidden information. It can have to do with like tarot, astrology, anything esoteric in nature. And then the Hierophant is the more like constructive, traditional aspect of spirituality. And it's bringing that masculine and feminine energy together, kind of like how you receive those things and then what you do, and them combining to create this 10 of Cups for you. So it has to do with the information that you're receiving and the vibration that you're on, what's motivating and driving you, what information you get in, and what of that information you get resonates with you enough to make this like plan and follow these steps that you're following. And then to kind of bring it back into this place and be like, now what if this is associated, well, congruent with the values that I have? So the Hierophant is going to speak about those things, your beliefs and your values and the things that are important to you. And it can be associated with your morality as well. Because the High Priestess can be like bringing in a lot of information, and the Hierophant is like your discernment of what if that is relevant to you and what if that do you want to take on. Because High Priestess is kind of like receiving all of this information, and sometimes it can be, when you're like openly receptive, just talking about the pure feminine energy, it's like taking everything in without like categorizing it yet. And then the Hierophant is going to be that part of like going through it and like using your discernment to be like, okay, I like this piece and like this part is resonating with me, and that's going to end up like creating this picture for you essentially, where you're checking this back to be like, does this align with me? Am I resonating with it? Does that feel aligned internally? And that's how you move forward with all of this. So all of it's sort of a process of this yin and yang energy that's being balanced, but especially in this way where I'm seeing there be like this very much higher connection that you have here that you're following, and you really don't need to doubt at all what you're doing. Because even though like maybe on a conscious level sometimes you're like, am I doing this the right way? Like, where is all of this going? I'm just saying you have everything that you need. You're on track. You don't need to doubt yourself. You don't need to question this. So I'm seeing this as just your guides being like very reassuring for you to just keep doing what you're doing. Keep continuing. I'm hearing all will be balanced in time. I'm seeing stillness here. I'm seeing like very deep contentment, and I'm also seeing stillness. I'm hearing the word silo. I get this. Let me just connect with this for a minute to get the best way to describe this energy. I'm not seeing this be stillness where there's like a shutting off that's happening. I'm seeing there be stillness where there's like the most immense, like, be here now presence within you, where there's like a looking around and feeling this deep sense of contentment and acceptance of your circumstance presently, of your circumstances presently, and like really being one with that. I'm seeing this just feel like a very profound moment of any type of distraction or dissociating, like being turned off completely, and you're just like very present. You know those moments where it feels like your brain is very foggy and like you're doing stuff, but you're not really remembering things, and things just feel like kind of fuzzy. This is like the absolute opposite of this. This is a moment where it feels like you just like woken up and you're like hyper aware and present of everything around you. I'm seeing a moment like that, but I'm seeing you be very like calm and still and serene within. So there's not anxiety that's associated with this like hyper awareness, even though I'm seeing it be regular awareness, but because that's like not necessarily the norm, I'm seeing it be spoken about as hyper awareness. But yeah, it's one of those moments where you're like, I'm like here right now, I'm really here, I'm one with this moment, and just this, it's like this feeling of absolute integration. Very significant. And I'm also seeing this be reassuring for you. Okay, my friends, we are going to leave the reading here. I would like to thank everybody for connecting. Thank you for tuning in. I'm wishing everybody love and light and healing, and I hope to catch you guys next time.